workshop for Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. You can find out a 7 councilors present, and we'll start with the police department.
Which, would you like to do the public safety one or the department one first? Somebody. Do I get like a
Makes no
10% discount
difference
because
to
I
me.
have 2 budgets? Because I would really love that.
If you do regular police, it's on
Well,
page 1.
Well, we'll give you all the difference in the world if we get a group discount for having 2 budgets.
Buy one, get
I'm
one
on the
free.
police department page.
There
you go.
Okay,
I'll start with public safety.
that works for me.
Okay, what's the public safety?
163.
163, great, we'll get there.
I'm there, give me 10 minutes to get there.
One too far.
Obviously, next to salaries that was voted on last month, I didn't add anything to the public safety budget. I just basically took from a couple of line items that we did very well on this year. Biggest ones were overtime. We saved now maybe a little over $5,000 just on public safety overtime. That was pretty much brought about by the addition of the 2 dispatchers. I also decreased fuel oil by 10%, new equipment by 1,500, and training and travel and training by 2,000, because we have the 2 new dispatchers now, so we don't have to train anybody for that role right now. With the savings of about 11,000, I put on the computer repairs and maintenance line item, which last year was 1,500. This year I've upped it to 12,500 because of 2 purchases. One purchase we actually made 2.5 years ago, and that was the extended warranty on our dispatch system. I kind of got a bit of a shock this year when I saw the bill come in. I'm like, I don't remember anything about that. So I've now put it officially as a line item on our public safety budget. It's for $4,000, and it covers all the parts. If anything goes wrong in our dispatch center, both councils, everything is covered. So that is now added to public safety since both of us use it. The other one is something that we bought actually in June, and this is going to make a lot more sense to Tim than it's going to make to me. But it's called Hindsight. It is a multimedia logging recorder that captures and archives all phone communications. It provides secure web-based playback, searches, filtering, tagging, and bookmarking of calls. All the data is password protected, ensuring that no unauthorized access can reduce, and it will reduce our liability. So this came out of my audit through the Main Chiefs Association. They said, Chris, you know, you've got all these things protecting you, but you've got nothing protecting the confidentiality of your phone calls, either incoming or outgoing. And they were the ones who actually suggested this. A lot of the departments in Maine have it, Maine State Police have it. So basically, it's a firewall that protects us from the outside, and if there's ever a breach, we will be alerted straight away, and in-house as well. So if we have FOIA requests or we're adding a 911 call to a prosecution report, we can do that now. We couldn't do that before. It's also a web-based program, so we have enough 10 terabytes. I don't know what that is, Tim, but I guess it's a lot.
It's not for calls.
No, for calls. So all those calls would be kept for at least 5 years because of the system. Before, we would lose everything within 6 months. With the amount of FOIA requests we seem to be getting lately for stuff 4 or 5 years in the past, now we can access all those calls. But the main reason for it, and I took the guidance from the Main Chiefs on this, is limited liability. We are 100% responsible for confidentiality. So if somebody calls in, we make a complaint, or something goes out, if that gets out to the media, or gets out to any situation whatsoever, we are responsible and we are liable. We can be sued. So this system, nobody can log in without having a password. If somebody does log in, I know exactly what call they listened to, what length of time, what line they listened to, what information was passed. So it's just an added security system on the confidentiality.
And it helps with discovery too, chain of custody on discovery for calls for cases and things like that.
so it makes sense.
That's it, I didn't change anything else, so basically, all the money that I saved on the other line items, I used it, but it came out flat at the end for the public safety budget.
That's good.
For the police department budget, same thing, I did not add any additional items to the.
Are we 101 now?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
101.
We can put them next to each other next time.
Yeah,
Yes, please.
That would make too much sense.
For the police department budget, the same as the public safety budget, I did not add anything additional to this budget besides the salaries that were already signed last month. The biggest savings we had this year was on the overtime budget. We're going to save about $23,000 this year on our overtime budget. Mainly because, once again, those two dispatchers covering an awful lot of those shifts on dispatch where officers were going to be called in, or officers doing swaps instead of doing overtime. So I'll do this shift and you do this shift. So they've kind of saved me a lot of money this year. That $23,000 is actually what I used to bulk up some of the items that we went over, some of the line items we went over for last year. Oh, sorry, this year. I added $3,000 to our training and equipment budget. The $3,000 is literally just for what this department has always done, and as long as I've ever been here, we would do one firearm qualification a year, and that was mandatory for the main criminal justice academy. I've added 2 more additional times that we will train in firearms. We'll do another afternoon shoot, but it won't be a qualification, it'll be move and shoot scenario-based training. And for the first time ever, we are doing nighttime trainings. So the officers will go out on nighttime shoot scenario-based training where we bring the cruisers, we turn on the lights, real life. My biggest goal when I became the chief of this department was to make sure that we are trained for not if the situation is going to happen, but when the situation is going to happen. So that's why we do more active shooter training, more firearms, more marked, which is mechanics of arrest training than we've ever had before. And we do it as a patrol division, all training. So I added $3,000 for that, just for ammo. And the 2 other big changes that you will see will be the department head account, which is basically our canine account. I added $5,000 onto that account because of insurance for both dogs. As you remember, this year we nearly lost Varus. His stomach flipped while he was on duty. And we got a vet bill. Thank God we saved him. We got a vet bill for $6,200, and we had no reserve for that whatsoever. So now we are going to be adding in dog insurance for both of our service dogs that will cover anything minor and will cover 80% of any surgical procedure. It's something that honestly, it was just a lack of imagination by me. I never thought it could happen. It's never happened before, and then all of a sudden when it happened, we were just not. As the last item, it was a new line item that we added last year, outside services, which is basically our mental health item. So last year I had no idea how much mental health the detectives would need, so I just added $8,000. I doubled it to $16,000 because we're already $4,500 over on that item. My detectives usually get counseling anywhere between every week or every month, depending on themselves. It's also open for if we do psych evaluations for any new employee, so that also covers that as well. And I have $4,000 set aside under that account for transcriptions. So we have a professional transcriptionist who transcribes all of the CAC interviews, which are the child abuse interviews. And that's also done for mental health purposes, so that the detectives aren't reliving the case over and over and over again as they type it out. At some point, AI will be might go into that area. Right now, the courts are very iffy about AI when it comes to transcription of cases of this nature. But that might be something down the line that would probably address it. Besides that, I made no other changes really. Most of the line items stayed exactly the same, and this budget came out flat as well as the public safety budget.
I've got a couple of questions. Well, one of them, the membership dues is up $612.
Oh, yes, sorry, that is a really good question. So that is another one that has changed dramatically. Before, the membership dues was just for the main chiefs, and now we have added on MLEAG, so a main accreditation that we just had our auditor on. They do all our policy management, so that costs $4,000 a year. They manage all our policies, make sure that they are up to snuff when it comes to main chiefs. And another $750 for Power DMS. That is where all our policies are stored. So when they audit me, and they audit me every single year to make sure everything is up to date, they go on our Power DMS website, they can look at all my policies, make sure they are perfect. If not, all the changes will be made there. All our training is also done through that system as well. Everything is online. So when they did finally come up here for their physical audit, they had already checked me out at about 158 standards. They only had to check 7 physical standards that was actually inside the building. So when they walk through my evidence, when they walk through my armory, make sure everything is perfect. So that was the reason for those membership dues. I'm sorry.
That's what I never do apologize. And then I guess my other question had to do with the outside services. I mean, specific, were those like, are we using a specific service for that, or were they put out to bid, or like what's?
2 psychiatrists that we've always used, the ones we're using out of Bangor, it's done through Zoom. It's done privately in their own offices, they come to the door, I mean, it's, that is how it's done right now. We did go into a lot of research this year on, is there another possible way that we could do it? A peer connect network of some sort that ended up being a lot more expensive. But we had a mental health training a couple of months ago where I sent some of my officers to, it was put on by the state. And I think some of the dispatchers went there as well. If you attend that training, which is free, you get free peer connect. It's just peers, it's not professionals, it's not counselors, it's not clinicians, it's not psychiatrists, but it is peer network that they can get on their cell phones. So I am making that training mandatory for all my staff members now, so that they still have the peer services that we need. But for right now, we still, the system that we're using is, for, especially for the detectives, but for anybody else that asks for it, we have paid psychiatrists and counselors.
My last question, well, it's really a two-parter, revenues and reserves. Like you mentioned, you didn't have any reserves. I don't see, we've been talking about reserves in a lot of budgets this year. You know, I don't see a plan for a reserve, and like if you did have a reserve, what would you use it for? I mean, that was a good example. And then, you know, also revenue, is there, like, do you have any ideas for any ways the police department can increase revenue? Like, you know, I know a lot of police departments do, like, you know, fundraisers and balls, and I know a lot, you guys have a lot to do, so it's not like on your priority list, but,
Yeah.
you know, just those are my last 2 questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So our revenue seems to average anywhere between like 80 to 100,000, most of it's grant related. We used to actually make most of our revenue through FOIA requests, dispatching services. We still make it through dispatching services, but reports, crash reports, through insurance companies and all that stuff. That's always been a big income generator. This year we went down by about 9,000 on those, mainly because not with those particular items, but non-city related details. That's how we usually make our money. This year we've had an awful lot of city details, like walking details that was requested, parades, security on special events. So we kind of had to back away, we just did not have the time and manpower. So we kind of backed away from those non-city details. For instance, like DOT called me about a month ago and they wanted us to work a certain amount of details. I just had to say no to them, we're just too busy. Yeah, we've never been much of a generator for money. And we are always looking at some way to generate a little bit more revenue. And I'll take any ideas that you guys have. The biggest issue we're running into now, of course, is the obvious one, is just burnout. You know, we're going to be we're going to hit 18,000 calls this year. You know, the average was 7,000 calls for 20 years. Less staff, more calls, more requests. We are looking at trying to cut the fat of a lot of the calls. We're working on an analysis right now to see where we can cut on some of those calls. So my guys are continuously going up non-stop. Some things can be taken care of on the phone. Sometimes a lot of stuff is civil that we can take care of in other ways. The issue we have though, obviously with our community, we kind of have an older community. Moving somebody off in another direction because it's civil or having AI take care of those situations isn't sitting very well with our community. They want an officer, they want a badge. So that is the way we're still operating right now. But, yeah, I'll take any ideas that people have for revenue. I always go, the fire department always goes before me. And Darrell's like, yeah, revenue $1.2 million. I'm like, yeah, I got $700. So I will take any ideas you guys have.
Well, you're never gonna fix the capacity problem, right?
No.
You guys just can't support it, but it is what it is. And then, with reserves, do you have a plan to put some sort of reserve option in your budget?
I would, yes, so right now, my goal, the biggest expense that we're gonna have for the future is the cruisers, we have tricycle cruisers. Right now, I'm about 25 or nearly $30,000 over on my cruiser budget, and that is just basic repairs and tires and oil changes, and we had tree crashes, so pay for that. But for the future, in 2027, we are going to be changing out 7 cruisers, which means we have to outfit 7 new cruisers, and I did have it in the capital reserve budget. I don't think it ended in.
Oh,
It is in
It's
there,
in- it is in there.
45,000, yeah.
That is, so my plan was for 40,000 every year when we start building that reserve, because that is going to be
Okay, so you did do that, I just missed it, I'm sorry.
no, that's no problem. We also have,
So explain that to me. I thought that was why. I thought that was taken care of by the enterprise lease system.
Yeah, I thought they came outfitted as well.
yeah, they do not come out with it, you know, all they give you is the shell, they give us a call saying the car is ready, and then we send it to Brewer is the place that does all our outfitting now, and the cheapest one that we have. It depends on the vehicle,
Yeah,
so for my vehicle and for my admin vehicles, you're probably looking about $5,000 to outfit it, it's just the basic one.
So do you feel like things are working better with your cars now that we're doing the enterprise lease system than 3 or 4 years ago when we were capitalizing everything and buying it ourselves?
Absolutely, I think that the savings, and Laura probably has most of those numbers, there was a big savings for us. The cars obviously are brand new when we get them, so with those major engine changes and stuff like that we were doing, that has gone down unbelievably.
And I mean, I would challenge, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but I would challenge if there actually has been savings or not. I'm sure there's been savings on your budget, but we're now paying a big lease fee, so I don't know how, like, we could sit down and extrapolate that, but like, maybe what we were budgeting for you in the past at a car and a half every budget, maybe it needed to be 2 cars every budget, but it would take some work, but I would love to see the savings or not of the lease system if we're having to outfit these things
We can
ourselves
definitely bring
anyways.
the head guy from Enterprise, he's got all those numbers.
Well, he's gonna
Yeah, of course, yeah, he's good, yeah,
he's gonna show savings. That's like asking a salesman to
yeah.
show you why to buy his product.
Each one's on
Well, no,
different
but,
lease.
you know, but really, you could take his numbers and you could kind of verify them, I think, probably that'd be easier than starting out from scratch, only because we know what the cars are gonna cost, I mean, that's gonna be kind of a fixed thing, and then as far as, you know, extrapolated maintenance, we can guess at that too, so I don't know the outside of that, you know, that there's a whole lot of monkey business with costs.
And we were, I don't know if anybody knows this, but we were actually the first department ever in the state
Right to
to
do it.
go to leasing. I think there's now 29, including the sheriff's department just went to Enterprise, Bangor's looking at Enterprise. They're all seeing the savings, and they're also seeing the difficulty of getting cars. So to try and find 10 or 20 cars a year, trying to get them outfitted and all that, these departments are finding it impossible. I wish, and I've said this to them, I wish that Enterprise was a one-stop shop. You get the finished product in the door.
Yeah,
They just can't do it.
but I think like we could definitely do that, I just think that we could get their numbers and then we could kind of go over them and see if we believe them. I mean, that would be reasonable.
Yeah, well, I haven't believed the lease thing from the beginning personally,
Yeah.
so.
Or even, you know, talk with Enterprise to see if there's such an increase in their lease of law enforcement vehicles, if now there's any bulk discounts, if you will. I mean, if they're we got 29 police departments in the state now, in just 2 or 3 years that are doing this program, and then factor that in nationwide. I mean, I'm sure that increases their buying power from be it Ford Motor Company or whichever company they're buying most of these cruisers from.
Well,
Nice to at least not see the price of the vehicle, the initial price of the vehicles going up.
And Council, General Motors has created a program very similar to Enterprise. So once that's up and running, we're going to have some options to go to General Motors or to stay with Enterprise.
Doesn't
We're also,
Ford have the same program you're talking about with fitted cars and everything else?
I am only aware of General Motors and they're very new, so we haven't had it rolled out yet, but it's anticipated that they will be competition and give us something to choose from. Laura and I are also doing some phasing out by attrition with some of the departments that really don't need a car, so reducing expenses that way.
Just pay some mileage to people for the, once in a while they might ever use something.
Well,
Exactly.
you're paying like some of them are $800 a month. You're not gonna pay that mileage.
We wouldn't pay it mileage, that's right.
And you could buy
I make
you
that
could,
mileage.
you could buy a car outright for a lot less in some of our departments and, because it gets very little use.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, well, I agree, and I think Mike, is right, and we need to prove that we've done something that's worthwhile, there's no question about it,
Yeah. Some
but,
of the
yeah.
new upfits have cost like $18,000
Mhm.
on the new 2025.
but we do get to keep our
Equipment.
equipment from car to car,
Yeah.
so we can recoup
Move it
some of
over.
our, yeah, we can recoup some of our.
But if we were to switch to GM or something like that, most likely most of the equipment won't.
Right.
That's another thing to think about.
So Ford does have a lease program for governmental cars and police cars.
It will take some time, but if we have options out there and comparing apples to apples, we could use the bid process and maybe we could make it a little more competitive.
Certainly will.
Never heard that out yourselves either. I mean, how long have we been doing the enterprise program?
This will be, next year will be our 5th year, so it's well that 5 years.
Has it been time doing it?
I do remember a day.
3
when-
years, yeah, okay.
I do remember the time though when the cruisers were in such bad shape that they were breaking down on their way to calls. So the Enterprise was an answer to some of
We haven't
that.
done a bad thing, I mean, and I think, I do believe that in concept, it makes a lot of sense, and I think it probably saved us money, I think that's absolutely true. I just think that, when we first started out, whether or not different departments, I won't name any, but if they actually need a vehicle or not, I think that was a thing that we probably assign vehicles to departments that probably don't. And perhaps, if they didn't have them, that allotment of that car could go into a department that needs the car, so.
Yeah.
You can save on it, so.
Yeah.
But I think Councilor Mike is correct in that
Need to prove it.
we need to prove it and we need to show the savings. It's a big ticket, so.
100%.
Alright, Chief, I had a question in regards to seizures, yeah, and forfeitures. Does that apply to your revenues, or?
The forfeiture would,
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
so think of it this way, if I've always used that revenue to either buy equipment or.
So that would
Sure, I
that would
just
be
get-
cash that you.
I just didn't know if that would be reflected
He's out.
in your budget.
Yeah, it would be,
Yeah, yeah.
we can definitely do that because all those 3 accounts now,
That's where my thought.
under the main chiefs, it literally used to be cash that would just stay in our safes. We can't have any cash on premises now, everything's electronic, so I send everything to Laura. And so she has a seizure account, she has a forfeiture account, she's a lost and found account, so
It's all
everything's
under
electronic there.
restricted.
So yes, it is, would be income, yes, revenue.
Just for my own personal edification, I mean, I know I just jokingly said you guys wouldn't peddle the meth and sell it, but that's not true. What happened with that stuff? I've never thought to ask that question. Do you guys just drop that in a dumpster? Like, do you submit that to somebody? Like the actual,
The actual drug,
yeah.
no, it is taken down to Portland, there's a huge crematorium there in Portland, and they take all the drugs in the states. We just take it down to huge box every 6 months, I guess.
Thank you.
Once it's no longer used as
Take care of
evidence, once it's no longer used as
Well, the
evidence.
way he said it, it's like we hold on to it for 2 years, once it's cleared as a forfeiture, we can take and sell it, it's like, what?
Oh. I don't think that's ever gonna
Yeah, I don't
happen.
think that's probably legal.
Oh,
That'd be an interesting budget item.
It would.
yes, yes.
Try to get that passed.
I wouldn't have to tell you guys any longer.
There you go.
Go ahead, did you have something, Craig?
Nope, just,
Any major changes or anything you see coming down the pipeline in the next 2 to 5 years that would be budget worthy?
I think last year I spoke to you guys, I said you pay me for 2 reasons. One, to keep the city safe, which I think you did a pretty damn good job this year, but the other one is to see around corners. Right now I'm failing in that because law enforcement is changing dramatically. We are in a crisis. People don't want to stay and do the job any longer, and most people don't want to go into the job. So recruiting and retention is the worst it's ever been. So that was kind of another reason why I didn't put too much into this budget, because I don't have a clear path forward right now.
So what do you think is causing that trend? Media, social media, fear?
Social media is a huge part of it. There's an easier way to make money. People know how dangerous the job has become. And
How crazy people are.
speaking to the cadets, because I teach in the academy twice a year, and I always thank them, first of all, for signing up, because nobody really wants to any longer. I ask them all the time, why? Why did you sign up? And they all say contribution. I want to contribute to society. That, I think, is a huge part of what we're not seeing anymore. Not blaming it generationally, but contribution is a huge issue. People want to contribute to society.
Is enrollment down also, it might not even be related, but like the armed services?
Yes,
So,
huge.
so that they're
It's
probably
absolutely the same
parallel
thing,
each other.
correct. Like some of the PDs, like down south, 20 down, 30 down, 40 down. We can't get enough cadets in the academy and out of the academy to stop the amount of people that are leaving the job. They just did a big report, I just seen that long ago, that they're losing most of the officers between the first year of 12 to 15 years. Which means these 12 to 15 year vets aren't waiting for their pension. And most of their pension is either 20 or 25 years, they're getting out. Because they just, the workload is too much, the mental health is too damaging. So bringing people into this industry knowing how bad it is difficult. And it's not about money. Money helps, but it's definitely not always about the money. It's, they're looking at the workload. And when it comes to our PD, they're like, okay, well, I make 50 cents more there, but you guys have 11,000 more calls, which means I'm not gonna see my family, mental health's gonna get damaged. So recruitment is hard, any way you look at it. And we meet in chiefs meetings all the time, and it's the number one fear that we all have. What happens if we close the door? And it's a real, last year I drove around with the commander in the Irish police force. I spent a lot of time talking to him, and like, what's your number one worry? He's like, shut the doors. It's a possibility. So I don't have that clear path forward. We can talk about cruisers, we can talk about retention and recruiting. We're putting an awful lot into, we're changing how we recruit now to see if we can, to get some more people. We're changing everything we can possibly think of to get more people in. But will this industry change dramatically in the next 5 years? Yes. How? I don't know.
And adding to what the chief said, the chief and I attended a training from a gentleman who was a police chief, but he's also a city manager. And we've been looking at ways to improve our police department. And one of them that we learned is that if your officer, if they spend more than 60% of their time on the streets, it means that they don't have time to do all the other things that they need to do, their training, their paperwork, all of that, going to court, all of those things. So what they're finding is that the burnout rate and the cultural wars that are happening in police departments sometimes have to do with the how the calls are distributed, the nature of the calls, not only the number of the calls, but the nature of the calls, and what the percent of their street time is. So the chief has been analyzing some of that and trying to find out whether our officers are over that. 60%, and I think anecdotally we can say that they probably are. So ways to structure, he alluded to that earlier when he talked about the nature of calls and how many we can drop off, so.
So that makes it almost impossible to have a vision of growing your department by a third or even half in the next.
The goal, yes, so the goal, we definitely need at least 5 or 6 more officers on the road to stop the burnout, obviously, because the calls are never gonna change. This is the way it's gonna be, we're probably gonna get busier over time. So that is my goal, is obviously more equipment, more officers, more cruisers. But I can't, ethical ask you for this kind of money when there's nobody out there. This time next year, I hope, you guys will probably kill me, but this time next year, I'll be coming to you hopefully with a full staff going, I could need another 2 positions. But right now, I don't see that. I don't see it yet. So until that day comes, we're just, basically what we're doing is we're treading water.
You're in survival.
We're in survival mode now, thank God the winter has
Growth
come,
mode,
things
yeah.
will slow down a little bit for us and everybody's taking a huge deep breath. But yes, survival mode until we gotta go again.
Well, and to kind of, I guess, counteract that a little bit. So, here's the U.S. military. Record number of recruits going into the U.S. military, and a lot of it's because we've got done with the pussification of the military. We put our foot down and said, the military is going to be a fighting force. The military is going to be backed up to be a fighting force. And once the policy that doesn't seem to back up the fighting men and women of that, and some of the expectations of what they do, people are now coming forward saying, look, I do want to be a part of that. I do want to be a part of something that's more structured. So I think some of our hesitancy too that I hear amongst people is that, they have a feeling that some of the laws that we've enacted, especially in our state, dealing with different social issues, that you're not empowered to do certain things that a common sense type of situation might be something that's fixed. Well, I would fully expect that they would go down and do that. But you tell us about situations you've had where you are very concerned about the escalation of things that start out very innocently and then turn into something else. And then officers' reticence to even enter into something like that because they said, this is a very minor incident, but it could result in a death or my termination. So I think they also have the feeling of saying, the paperwork, excuse my French, the bullshit, has just got to the level where they said, I'm out of here, I'm gonna do something else. And so I understand your frustration because, I think we see that in every industry. I mean, my God, I fill out more paperwork for insurance now than I've ever seen in my life. I've spent hours on, signing. I've got 8 documents at the back of an application now saying, did you tell them this? Did you tell them that? Did you sign off on this? Did you sign off on that? I mean, under safety paperwork, I'm sure it's no different.
But it has nothing to do with the pussification of anybody. It's just the idiocy.
But my point is, it's bad policy. That's what it is. It's bad policy, and so we are, living in that era. So I think as hopefully some common sense comes to some of these things, then maybe we'll turn a corner on some of it. I hope, because like we mentioned before, your agency's turned into the stop and shop for mental health, the stop and shop for family planning and all kinds of things that are going on that people are dealing with that are just used to be handled with a spank and you aren't doing that, and people listen to it. They don't do that anymore, and now there's altercations that should never have occurred. So I don't know. I guess I'm going to root for common sense, maybe returning to society a little bit, and maybe you'll make out better. But if the military indication of what their recruiting has become in the last year, perhaps we'll have some people that are going through their 3 and 4 years in the military and then coming out and saying, hey, what's the next best thing? Return to my community and be a police officer. And I pray that's the case.
Me too.
I don't.
Well, we know.
I don't. Because military brainwashing has absolutely nothing to do with your safety in society, okay? Because the only thing
The military doesn't brainwash.
So
I got-
Again, go political.
That's what you just brought up.
No?
I got two brothers. Trust me, they both went through the military.
I think we're a
Yeah.
little off topic.
So, yeah.
Let's get back to the budget. I think I don't have any more questions for you.
Thanks, Jim.
Way to start something.
I didn't start anything. I'm trying to end it.
Well, I hope you get some more, I hope you end up with more people interested in entering the law enforcement.
We'll start working out a little bit more and
Yeah,
we'll have a
I'm old.
talk.
I'm like.
Okay. You're using the stairs, Willet. You're using the stairs.
Alright.
We're gonna structure that.
No more elevators.
I'll submit an application and see what you can find for me to do. I would be interested though, I could do that.
If you mop the left half of the building, I can mop the
If I-
right half.
if
That's
I
about all
was-
we're doing.
If I was 20 years younger, I say that a lot too, but anyhow. Thanks, Steve. You did a good job.
Thank you.
Oh, goodness. Moving along to resource management. Laura, where's that put us in this
Well,
big beautiful binder?
puts us at page 139.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, turn right to it. Perfect.
So this is a pretty simple one. This is Miss Kelly, as you all know. A couple changes. So we did decrease ads, as you can see. We have we're in the transition process of a new HR software called Bamboo. They actually let you use ad services for free through like Indeed. So we did decrease those. Decrease membership and dues, $25. Increase on some miscellaneous expenses. I believe that is for your drug tests, your alcohol tests, so just some increases in those. Salaries and wages, that's the COLA. And then travel and training was increased. She has been attending a conference downstate, so that's just the cost of attending that.
Perfect.
So no big changes for that department. If there's any questions, I will take those now.
What miscellaneous expenses?
Yes, so that's your drug tests, your pre-employment physicals, lift tests, vaccines, blood draws, hepatitis B vaccines,
Okay.
and DOT training.
It's all broken down.
Yeah.
On the next page.
Yep.
Oh,
And
is
then
it?
your employee appreciation
there it
banquets in there as well.
Alright, yep, I just need to scroll a little further.
Yeah, that's no problem.
No, that's good.
It's an easy one.
Alright, employee benefits up next.
So I did do a handout for those because they have changed pretty significantly since we did the budget previously. When we first did the budget, we predicted an 8% increase for health insurance. It's down to 6%. It shows on here as a 2.19% increase. I did go through every employee and update whether or not they had insurance. So that isn't like, it reflected in there as well. And then you'll see that workers' comp has increased 73%. We're at 28,000 right now expensed in 2025. So we increased it to 30,000.
Comp's
for-
awful.
It is.
You're talking comp or unemployment insurance?
Workers' comp.
Workers' comp and unemployment,
Oh,
both
yeah, I'm
increased.
sorry, yeah.
Well, the unemployment is part of the Family Leave Act.
Nope, PFML is separate from that.
That's another line item?
It is, it's
Oh,
in
that's
there,
not what
posted at 43,000.
So with the FEMA, are you paying full or are you making the employees pay half and you pay
It's
half?
half and half. And then you'll see like Medicare, all of those are based just on that's on what the salaries and wages
So why would the unemployment have a 73% increase?
are. So we're at 28,000 expense right now for
So,
2025.
so that's based on experience.
Yeah, so
or what
we're
your
predicting
employees
that
are
it's gonna be
using.
the same as
I
next
got you.
year. So we're just trying to get it closer to what we are
I got
actually at this point in time. And then retirement's decreased.
So just to So you're saying we under budgeted for
We
last year?
under budgeted
Okay,
last year.
gotcha, okay, no, so there's no major increase, just
Just-
reality.
Yes, that's the actual
Okay,
cost.
good.
Have we under budgeted on that multiple years, or are we just having a bad year?
I think it's mostly this year from what I could see.
So do you think it warrants going up, thinking next year is gonna be a bad year, or?
Kelly gave me this number, so that's kind of based
Okay.
on her prediction. I guess that's probably close to what we're gonna hit for 2026.
Okay.
And then most of these are just set on what they have for benefits at this time.
Well, so unemployment insurance paying out would be on people that we have unemployed.
So it's a direct reimbursement employer. A direct reimbursement employer can be either a government entity or 501c3. These employers may choose not to pay quarterly, but pay instead dollar for dollar. All the unemployment benefits are awarded to a former worker.
So,
So Craig, like, we could have a couple, like, higher
well, that's what I was
higher
thinking.
paid employees that are,
Well, our city manager was one of them, right?
Yeah, that
Yes.
is a higher
So
percentage.
that was a higher paid, so Mike,
Yes.
maybe you aren't wrong.
well,
Well,
Sonia, maybe we could look at the last 3
Yeah.
or 4 years
Yeah.
I'll give you a comparison.
and see if we can save 10 grand there or not.
Is there any questions on
Well, the workers' comp kind of shocks me. I mean, I know it's expensive, but why did it go up? What's the reason for?
They would have sent us a letter, Kelly would have that, so that's something we could look
Yes.
at too.
I'd be interested to know.
Yeah, it's almost 20 grand. 19 and some change.
I mean, I can pull up where we're at right now, if that helps at all. I don't know if it does.
I mean, so you're trying to space on wages, so that's.
So right now, we have paid 28,000. Oh, what? Oh, 205, there we go. Right now, we paid 146,000 to workers' comp. So, might be worth it.
So probably look at that line item.
Like, I don't know if it's based on a percentage of the overall employee wages or the number of employees or what the factors are there for the increases.
So we're year to date, we're at 140 what?
149.
149 year to date.
Mid-state retirement is a fairly good increase as well.
Yeah, more people are going to main state retirement than the 401k. Indeed.
Insurance premium
It is, because if you're on comp, they're only get 2/3 of the church's salary.
So your workers' comp is based on your salary. So depending on what class you fall into, you're either paying 0.29% on your wages or you're paying 8.38%, depending on your role.
According to what I'm reading here, March of this year, it was supposed to have decreased by 9.6%.
Workers' comp?
Yeah. Yeah, because the.
And we got a dividend for a couple of things that I'm treasurer for, so.
Because the premium reduction has been ranged from 6.5 to 10.7%.
Yeah, I just.
We're not aware of that, but we'll check into it.
But they did say that things are driven because of improved claim experience, higher payroll growth, so that's probably where
Higher
you're.
payroll, higher workers' comp.
Well, and just an overall insurance premium like across the board, right?
I mean, when we get to our other insurances, you'll see.
Yeah,
an
of course, it's a
increase.
state, quasi-state program too, so if they have better experience, they give you a dividend and such too, how they do it, so.
Depends on what
We'll look at it.
We'll look at it.
We'll look at it.
Another thing to like had any claims at all?
For workers' comp, yes.
Yeah,
And then that obviously affects premiums
It
too,
does.
so all that stuff.
Most of that, I'm sure, is industrial
We're-
work, and something where you're gonna be physically hurt.
well, there's one at the police department that's pretty significant at the moment, so,
Yeah, that would probably by itself do it.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I will look into those two for sure. Just a little bit more information for you.
So if they are with industrial work, then that's where your majority of injuries are going to be. Have you done any root cause analysis as far as why they're getting injured or what they're doing to try to prevent those levels of injury?
If we had a safety director, we might do that.
I know one I can nominate.
Huh?
I know a guy I can nominate for a new job.
I'm not looking for a new job, but I'd be willing to assist.
I think the folks at Workman's Comp are pretty helpful, as they too work to prevent it from happening again.
Right.
So we do get some good data from them.
I know that we work with a third-party consultant that works with me as far as anything goes, as far as trainings or experiences or anything else. And the insurance companies do like that too, because you have that outside set of eyes to help, so. But, yeah, we can talk.
So do we, well, everything looks fine there, is what it is. We use that for a segue into our last,
Insurance.
one here for insurances.
And that's also a handout, because there's a few changes.
Now, we were on the topic.
So you'll see any increases to insurances around the second half of the year. We already had the first half, so we have January to June. You'll see a 10% increase on most of them on the second half of the year. So for instance, we budgeted for 2025 $113,000 for general liability. We're at 112 right now. So we increased to 123 for general liability and property, new equipment, more insurance. Police liability, that's actually decreased. We have, I believe it's Deergo, Deergo accreditation gives us $3,701 towards it, so that's a decrease for this year. Public officials, you'll see an increase of 10%. We budgeted 7.8 for 2025, we're at 7,912 currently. So, budgeted 8,683 going into 2026. Vehicle insurance, that shows up 20.6%. We did do a 10% increase for this year. We are currently at 101,000 already for this year, and we only budgeted 98,000.
Crazy.
How often do we shop around?
I believe. I don't believe this one's the end of the day.
So would this be our police cruisers and our plow trucks and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many vehicles do you think we have total?
So we have 29 just through enterprise.
And then another 20 plow trucks or so?
I think it's 18 anyway.
Yeah, probably pretty close.
Fire trucks.
Fire
You're
trucks,
building the trucks and the
ambulances,
fire truck and the wreck trucks.
the vans,
Assessors.
Dang.
Well, it is, I mean, it's a lot though, it's like
Yeah.
three grand a vehicle, you know, give or take.
yeah, and we're at full capacity for the police department, so we did add 2 cruisers last year. So,
I just ask, it's just like your cable bill tends to creep up.
no, absolutely.
I usually
No,
shop,
you're
I
right.
usually,
Okay.
you know,
No, yeah, I mean, we all shop insurance.
I shop once a year specifically for that reason, so.
Let me speak with Kelly on that, and I can answer to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're seeing a 30% increase over a year, it's probably a good indicator to start looking for a deal somewhere else maybe.
I'd also be interested to know what the insurance is in proportion to our lease vehicles. Where we have, newer, safer vehicles, if that should be reflected in premiums that we're paying.
You would think,
you would think.
I mean,
But has anybody, has anybody made that correlation to an insurance company that quotes or?
Doesn't a newer vehicle normally cost more to insure though, because it's
Yes,
a newer
yeah,
vehicle
it's
when you
More
have it?
money,
Yeah,
so,
that could be.
Well, there's a dividend for
so the cost we did get,
safety devices that I'm talking
so what we do know we'll
We're
pay
down.
roughly is 56 for the first half of the year. Is what we got already for no knowledge.
Yeah.
So we increased 10% based on just that. So, I can just, let's count.
Yeah, it costs money to do this stuff. This is what it is.
I don't believe there exists a protocol, which is something that we should probably look at for how often we do go out and search for insurances. I'm not sure there's anything written.
Probably
about
we
that.
should just kind of set a policy at least every 3 years.
Yeah, I would
every
think
3 or 4
so.
years.
You know.
I think you raise an important point. Are we accepting this price because of what they've offered us?
Yeah, I mean, like, do
Or
we
is it
have any
competitive?
bargaining leverage?
Right.
Like,
I think that's a decent question, and I think we'll look at that.
I mean, just in my experience working in the school systems, right, companies, and I mean, this isn't the crap on insurance companies, Greg, you're sitting here, but, you know, they will take advantage of
Sure.
municipalities,
Yeah,
like, they
I don't
know you
sell
guys
that.
oh,
are
sure,
just-
that's easy money.
Exactly, so if you don't stop and
Yeah.
ping them every once in a while,
No, like I said, I don't sell that kind. I said, mine's really easy. We put a cloth over your face. If it moves, we don't pay you.
no, I walked into a school system once, and I think they were being overcharged like something like 20 to 30 grand a year. And nobody bothered to look at it.
Sure.
You know, one phone call and I was like, hey, I just saved you guys $30,000.
It's a point well taken, and we will look at it.
No, I mean, we're a good customer, we should be able to have a little bit of leverage on some of this stuff,
One would think.
Yeah.
One would think.
Do you think the police officers get a safe driving discount?
Huh?
Do you think the police officers get a safe driving discount?
Yeah, I don't think, so.
One of the accidents
not the
they
ones
talked
that wreck
about,
the
the guy
cruisers.
drove around the corner and drove right smack into the front of our police cruiser. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So some of the accidents aren't even,
Right,
you know, nothing to do with us. I mean, just, you know.
I do have one more question. Has there been any kind of like, so I'm looking at these two, you know, the employee benefits and the insurances. Has there been like any kind of like audit between like the HR benefits and the insurance just to make sure we're not kind of doing what we did?
They audit our payroll. when
Okay,
we
so
do
there's
our
like,
audit
we're sure we're not
services.
duplicating.
Mhm.
It's the only thing I was concerned about.
That's another great question. There's a mechanism for that. And Counselor, I just have a summary to give you of where we are on the budget, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Laura, do you have that list of changes?
Yes, you'll see the
Yeah.
list of
Okay.
changes right on this
Wonderful.
backside of this tax commitment sheet that we've updated since we have
Alright, so,
presented the budget.
I got my little blue pen here. So where we stand right now is, on September 25th, the budget that I presented to you was $699,252 over last year. It was an increase of 4.54%, the changes before you. Today Laura and I worked all day. We are now at 496,557. That represents a 3.23% increase over last year, or 0.87% below inflation rate, and 0.94% over the approved expenses from last year. With revenue sharing, we're fully funded at $4,224,000. The mill rate would drop 0.27 cents. And we'd be under last year's budget by $190,192. And all that is to illustrate is that there have been deep cuts already. We're managing inflation, we're managing the things that we do have control over, but we've made very deep cuts to this budget.
And the state has cut their revenue sharing commitment to us.
We lost like
Yes.
$1 million, right?
Yes, almost 700,000.
700,000, so that's where we are today. So last year you approved a budget on December 18th, that's just a little check-in for what
Timeline.
timeline we
About a
have.
month, yeah.
The year before that, you approved the budget on December 7th, right around there, so that's where we are. If council desires no increases, we have to reduce the budget proposal by $496,000, 557. Okay, so that's the number that we're at today. Now, we're still working, you can see the changes that we made, were all those made most of those were made today.
A big portion.
A big portion of them were made today, so we went line by line, every single thing in the budget. There's some hope in the insurances, maybe there'll be some savings we can find there.
Would it be worth getting a hold of the governor's office and having a talk with them about the decrease in the revenue sharing
Yeah,
and the actual real world, real time strain that it's placing on Maine communities that are already struggling?
yeah, so there is significant talk among city managers about that with our legislatures. The challenge that we have in this community is that we haven't been focusing our attention on legislative matters. We've been just accepting what has come from the state. We're not making trips down to Augusta. We're not getting ahead of the legislation. We're chasing legislation and then wanting to fix it. What I think we need to do, Jeff, is get ahead of that legislation and stop it before it
Oh,
goes.
yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that, yeah.
So one of the things that I'm working on is getting ahead of that legislation. Because while we are talking about revenue sharing across the state, it's going to take some real change and a lot of voices to make any difference at all. Your state revenue sharing number is a signal that they want or they believe you can do a better job raising money locally. Now, you can agree with that or disagree with that. The signal is the signal. And so that's what they are trying to signal by saying, we're cutting your revenue share.
Okay. So that's, yeah. So they're saying, yeah, go to work and come up with more of your own money. Okay,
Based on a few factors.
Yeah.
Right? And some of those factors are 2
so
years
so
ago, right?
so for us to make up that difference with our revenues, the only real avenue that would increase our revenues would be through that guy?
Well, Lewis and I met about that today.
Or are we talking about increasing rates here
So-
and there for cost of services on this and that and
So
and
here
making,
are your options. You can increase the revenue. We've already increased that to the point where we're worried that we're going to
Not get the
overpromise and
number.
underdeliver, okay?
We've increased it 229,000.
Okay. We can reduce the capital budgets, okay?
Squeeze that.
We've already, so
yeah, we're
at-
working these
at 20 million, let's say a $21 million budget, we should be at 15 to 20% in capital, and we're not even close to that. We're more like 10% we're in. What was it, 10 point, I don't know.
Yeah, it's almost 11%.
Almost 11%. So, okay, it's an option, but it's not a comfortable option, and it's an option that we'll pay for down the road, right? That kicking the whole
Right,
can
right.
down the road. Okay. The next option is to go into our operating budgets and reduce those, okay? We can go back and do that, but at this point, this is going to affect services, okay? So now we're getting into policy issues here, right? This is hours open, this is services, this is where it's getting pretty serious.
We can't reduce services.
Right.
I don't
The
see.
last option is personnel. And these are your 4 options, okay? I do have between $200,000 and $300,000 of personnel options that we can dig into. If the council wants us to reduce it by this much, one of these things is going to have to, one or a combination of these things is going to happen, okay? Not comfortable, not comfortable, not comfortable, and not comfortable. Okay, so we're down to this. Now, other options? Well, we go into more surplus. Right, we can reduce that.
We're just in that
That's
forever
also-
thing.
Not real comfortable, right? So this is where we're at. It's going to be very difficult to get to that number with simply personnel.
I don't think it's realistic to think about a flat budget losing 700,000 of revenue sharing with inflation being 4%.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we should go up a little bit.
And I think reducing your personnel is also going to have a direct effect on your operations.
Well, it may or may not, I guess we kind of also
Well, I
need
mean,
to
if you
hear
get
of
to, if you get to the point where it's gonna have an actual direct reflection on our budget, yeah, it's gonna have some effect on it.
You know, you're usually talking upper level roles for that level of salary. You need to get close to that budget, which means you're affecting entire departments at that point.
No matter what we do at this point, it's not gonna be comfortable and there'll be an effect, but we can soften that effect with efficiency, with good transition plans. So that's where we are at. I think some direction from our council tonight is kind of what we're looking for. What would you like, where would you like us to go from here? We're gonna keep working. We're gonna keep looking at the budget.
Well, so you gave us some conceptual personnel changes in the last meeting we had, but we don't have any numbers with those. So perhaps providing that to us might give us some information, and I'm not saying that that's something that I'm looking to act on immediately, but you know, as a efficiency thing over time, you know, give us maybe a direction.
Yes.
So I think that might be something that'd be worthwhile seeing.
Was it 193? We're right around 200,000.
Yeah, it is right.
Right around
Using
that
some of the
right now.
conceptual things that you
Using
had.
some of the conceptual things.
That 496 includes 2 personnel.
And,
changes.
right, this includes 2 personnel.
Right,
changes,
correct.
2 personnel
Yep.
changes.
And
So,
then the other thing, and I don't know, that's fine, but there, I guess the other thing too that we have batted around too is, you know, what, with any adjustments that this gentleman might suggest to us, you know, in different revenue things, and I guess I don't know, if it'll talk to you really, that, you know, since we had our little meeting there a month or so ago, but I'm sure you've thought about this too since then, so.
There's room to gain some.
Yeah.
I hate to throw a number out there, but.
No, but I guess the point is,
You know, when we gain 5 million in value, it's such a small amount
Right.
that it's, cause we're at over 700 million now.
Right.
5 million is just a pinch in there now.
Yeah.
so we talked about adding 5 million today, but what did it end up with us being? I mean,
14
On
cents.
a $250,000 house, I actually did the math, and it's $225 increase on a $250,000 house with the mill rate as you have it on your sheet.
what was the 5 million increase going to do you remember what number
I'll
we
have to
came
do
up
that
with?
math
It was
for
like
you, and
14.
I'll look at that math for you.
And we were adding it to,
It was
Just a minute.
699, right?
Yeah, it ended up being like 14 cents, I think, at the original
Yes,
time.
14 cents.
Yeah.
Yes.
the course of wisdom is that you don't mess with that. But there is going to be some growth. The challenge is how much and do we dare raise that?
Have you looked at funding any downtown related expenses with TIF funds?
We've started to look at that. I don't wanna make any huge decisions about that until we have our strategic planning and I know what is extremely important to this group. Otherwise, it's just a stab in the dark and we use it as a slush fund and it doesn't have any planning or strategy behind it.
Right.
So I think I'd rather have the council give us 3 to 5 priorities and then we figure out how to make it happen.
Well, we'll know more possibly next Monday when we meet with the BPI folks. And then we'll know what their timeline is and what the reality of what they're gonna present to us too. So maybe that would help us to drive that conversation on those monies, because I think we kinda expect some of those monies will go towards that. Right?
Yeah, because if they tear up our Main Street, they're not gonna fund everything to put it back the way
Right, we
we
have to
want
have
it.
some money. to put
Right,
towards
so
it.
I worry about spending that TIF money down for new initiatives.
Yeah.
Without a clear plan.
Makes sense.
And I mean, I know me and Louis aren't seeing exactly eye to eye on this, but I do think our commercial property values have lagged the increases on the residential side. And I'm not just saying big department stores, but some of our larger buildings have lagged the increases of residential. I still think that could buffer the increases to taxpayers and not put these people higher than they were years ago.
I wish an increase on one side equaled an increase on the other side. What we're trying to figure out is how much do we have to increase that commercial property to have it make a dent in our operating budget, and it's significant. So we are going to go in that direction. We're just trying to figure out the how of that, and I think we need some more information.
And some of that's made more challenging because a lot of that property is in the TIF district.
Exactly.
So if we don't use the TIF money to benefit the, things that impact the general fund, it just goes into the TIF,
That's right.
which is still important.
Yeah.
Well, it'll all help eventually, because, if, assuming the VPI is still going ahead the way it was because of the grants and the things that were there, assuming that all moves ahead in the same manner, then, we still got the $3 million match that we gotta come up with in 3 or 4 years now. So that money is gonna have a good use. There's no doubt about it. So.
Yeah.
What's in it right now? The TIF? 1.3 million, so.
We got
half the money.
So this is where, we're at. I don't see how we're going to present a flat budget to you this year.
I don't think we should ask that of you, but I'm just one vote.
Can I say one thing?
We can say 2 things, 3 things.
You made the best point of all, I think one page back. The inflation rate, we're coming in under the inflation rate.
Oh,
To me, that's just so important to keep in mind the whole time.
Yeah, this is a budget before you, even at this point, is cut. I think we were something like 188,000.
Okay, so we're 188,972,000 over expenses last year, so we're really 0.94% over what was accrued for expenses.
Last year.
last year, and the 4% increase
For
in
COLA.
salaries for COLA, significant,
I wanna make sure I
Utilities.
understand, 0.94%, so less than 1%.
Less than 1%.
less than 1%. Yeah, the
No,
budget,
I mean, as I say we, I mean, we've sat here and listened to the presentation, you're giving us some advice here and there, but you've, you've done a wonderful job, you know, to get us where we are, there's no question about it.
Yeah, I think that the only additional cutting I'd be willing to even look at would be kind of, you know, if you've got any personnel that is, you know, justifiable. You know, if you're making some sort of organizational shifts or anything like that, and it makes sense, yeah, but I mean, outside of that, I think you've done about what you can do.
Well, I think that makes perfect sense, I agree with that wholeheartedly, and I don't think that, you know, cutting more of the paving budget that this is gonna put us behind, or cutting equipment that we're gonna have to buy another year, or deferring something that's just gonna cost us again more money next year is, you know, maybe expedient looking at the moment, but it's not gonna save us any money in the long run, because you're just putting off,
It's all still expenses.
you're putting off the hole in the roof that's gonna still be there next year, you know, so I think you're right.
So what's the, I think you had it on one of these sheets, so if we cut the budget just as it is right now, what would the effect on the rate be?
0.71.
0.71?
Yeah, so it would go up to $22.70.
That's the new figure with this
Mm-hmm.
presentation right here,
Yeah, if we passed it right now, the second, that's where you're sitting.
22 point,
Right there at the bottom
Yeah,
of that
it's
little
right there.
column.
Yep,
22.7, okay,
Yep.
right there,
There it is,
Yep.
okay. I should start reading the, just.
and it's 21.99 right now.
And that includes zero growth on assessments.
What's that, Louis?
That includes zero growth on assessments.
Zero growth on assessments.
we toyed with 5 million today, but it's really a risk. I mean, we can do it, but we feel like if we're gonna do it, we really need all minds at the table to decide that we're going to do it. Because if we don't grow the 5 million, then we're in a real pickle.
Anytime, when it comes to risk, I mean, I wouldn't risk it, to be honest with you.
It's less risk, I mean, there's impact,
Mhm.
but it's less risk to go in with, you know, if this ends up being 296 or 196
Well-
or, you know, it's less risk. This is a known, you can predict this impact. If we don't get the growth rate right.
What was the reduction in the revenue sharing?
686.
680s.
It's right on the third line.
Oh, yeah, I should probably read that one better, huh?
You can read it 100 different ways.
Oh, I know, yes, okay. Alright. Thank you.
And there have been years where revenue sharing has come in higher.
Right,
I just don't think it's
We can't bank on
fiscally
it.
responsible to count on that.
Right
There have
now,
been years when there was $2 million less than we have right now too.
Yes.
I mean-
you're right.
we're at about $40,000 below budget right now on revenue sharing. At this point, so.
Okay.
so as far as being fiscally responsible as the municipality goes, I don't see what more you can do, I mean,
Not without impacting operations,
not without
safety.
impacting operations, personnel, safety, delivery of services.
Yep.
We've cut over.
I mean, you
We've cut all overtime
you've
and
You've put
and
every
things.
line in this budget through the ringer and
3
pass it
times.
through a microscope. Right, yeah, multiple times, so.
And me, yeah,
I just, I guess it is what it is, but. Boys, if that revenue sharing was where we would have expected it to be, this wouldn't even be an issue, we'd be sitting pretty.
we would still be trying to come in at a
It
zero
would still
budget,
be-
but it'd be,
It would have lessened the impact and made
yeah.
your work a lot easier.
yeah,
But
I hope,
that's not the story of the day.
I hope to be able to convey to our legislatures just what a terrible impact this is on our community. It's a
And we don't have any
terrible.
incoming, like, big sources of revenue that we're aware of at all.
Well, I mean, our fire chief is kind of a champion of that, right? There is some hope that he's gonna do some more transfers, and that brings in significant revenue. We have to have the equipment available to do that. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The forum is doing pretty remarkable things, bringing in revenue. So there is hope.
Yeah,
We were really proud of our revenue this year. There's more that we could do.
but our revenues have increased.
Yeah, it increased 285
So-
last year, and then 229 this year, so that's 500,000 in like 2
That's nothing to
years.
bat an eye at, you know, I mean, that's some respectful revenue increases. Yeah, and if we can keep things up with you know, our transports, with the ambulance service, and even if we get this training facility built that we've discussed here and there, and start billing for the use of that, if we could keep that place busy 40 weeks out of the year at X number of dollars per week, I mean, that would make a difference as well.
Sure would. It has great potential.
It has real world
Yeah,
good potential.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, this year's kind of a bummer, I guess, but, things are still pretty decent, I think. Could be a lot worse.
Could be a lot worse. I think the fiscally responsible people that came before us have set us up nicely for today.
Mhm.
And I think they're owed thanks for
Mhm.
paying close attention. I do think we have work to do, and Louis and Laura and I met today. We have work to do about our valuations, we have work to do about our taxes and answering some of those questions. And we have work to do on our revenues. But we would have liked to have come in at zero, we really would have. But at this point, if we come in at zero, we're cutting into serious things that are going to have an impact on our community,
Well,
and this is where it switches into policy.
we've still got a month to go, you know, if we're on the same timeline, and we still have those workers' comp and other insurance items to look at, there may be a few dollars in, so. And so let's kinda do that, and then we could certainly look at the vehicle insurance you just mentioned to see if there's any, you know, I mean, all of a sudden you know, a few $1,000s here or there, you know, knocks it down some more, so. And then, you know, I guess conceptually, there's some other things that we can discuss too,
Yes,
but I guess at the moment, you know, we're not in a bad position because we kind of entered into this process with thinking about $1 million, and now you're less than $500,000. So, you know, that's certainly.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity to kind of roll through, not even just insurance, but anything we have contractual or contractually obligated to, and have been for multiple
Right.
years, just look at it, does it still make sense? And then you know, like I said, if it's an organizational, you know, change for positions, then let's take a look at it, but as far as, outside of all that, I'm good with this, you guys have done what. I guess if anybody complains, they can write to their legislator.
Yeah, pretty much.
it's surprising when you go line by line how much you can find out of a budget. We started the day with a couple $100,000 and we were able to reduce it. So I think you can feel pretty confident that we dug down real hard into this. And we are at, there's nothing hidden, and we are at the point where we,
Well, you have line items that you've gone through here that are $50 and $100 and $300 and $225.
Yeah, all the way
You
up through.
know, I mean, you know, really honestly, you know, to say that you've skipped over anything is not true. And I think that's the thing with the public. A lot of times the public just thinks, well, there must be just huge amounts of waste somewhere because it's the government. So there's gotta be waste, right? And I think when you're talking about billions of dollars, that's pretty hard to manage. But you know, in our budget and the fact that every department is being scrutinized by the department head, brought forward as presented, having you put it in the computer and questioning every line item, and then doing that over the course of several departments, even though it's, you know, like you say, a $20 million budget, you're still looking at every piece of it. So, you know, I guess I just kind of really want to make the public understand that, you know, there's no magic bullet here. There's just, you know, the waste isn't there.
there's very little that we have control over as far as inflation and expenses and what people charge us for the services.
I do have a question, so are there anything, out of this list of stuff that you cut in the last couple of days, is there anything here to highlight whether there is like a significant impact, like, or, you know, I mean,
Well, I think-
outside of personnel, that one's obvious.
So the excavator, our public works director really feels as though the excavator is important. I've cut it and asked him to look at options for that. So that's one that I'm not comfortable with. I took deep cuts out of paving. Public Works managed to pave 15 streets this year, and I was very proud of that for sure. But the paving is something that our community demands on a very regular basis.
Yeah.
When are you going to do this? When are you going to do that? Without realizing how much money it actually takes to do that.
Well, it's expensive,
So-
but hopefully, you know, with fuel oil prices coming down, that, you know, maybe paving will be a little cheap. You know, I mean,
Right.
that we're hoping, right?
Yes, so there's that, there's some deep cuts to the fire department that, for equipment that could earn us revenue down the road, so that's not particularly comfortable. I think today's stuff, you know, whenever I start taking travel and training away, so what I've said to department heads is if you went to a conference this year, skip next year, we'll revisit it the year after, right? So every other year going to a conference. So in answer to your question, I think those are the three areas that I've cut that when my department head tells me that is probably too deep, I believe them. But I'm also looking at this number, and it's still a big number and bigger than I would like it to be, so.
Thank you. Nothing we weren't already aware of.
Right, very good.
And that's all I have for you tonight.
Sounds good.
So,
Thank you.
just real quick recap, so like action items for everybody, like what do we, cause you said you wanted some direction from us.
I think I have adequate, thank you. So what we're going to do is look at those insurances. We're going to look at the stuff that Laura presented this evening pretty hard. I'm going to look at personnel. I'm going to look at cost, what we can do with that number. We're going to look at transition plans in case there is an impact of personnel. You will know what that impact will be. And we're going to continue to talk to department heads about their operating budgets and whether they have accurately predicted their expenses for next year. So I think that's what we're gonna do. Between now and when you vote the budget in, that's pretty much what we'll be doing. So if you have thoughts or email me, email Laura, come in.
I don't feel too bad about that, really. I figure it all for a community our size with our location and relevance to the surrounding communities and all that we offer and all the services that we have and all of the stuff that we really have going on, for what we're operating with. I think we're pretty good at knowing how to stretch a buck and really get the most out of what we're working with. So I don't see anything here as any frivolous spending or anything to that nature. I really believe that we're doing the best we can with what we got, and I think it shows.
Thank you.
I don't know about the rest of you guys, but you know,
I think I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second that.
motion has been made by Michael to adjourn and seconded by Hank. All of those in favor? 5-0. We are adjourned. Good job, everybody.
Hey, good to see you, thanks for coming.
Well, thanks for your call.
$30 a month.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I got
Yeah, I just got mine, I think I was.
Yeah, I can't remember what it
I
was
just got a new quote.
when we did ours.